Hello, welcome to Thursday's edition of Hotline Live with Record Sport. My name is Daniel Caw, and I am thrilled to be joined by the one and only Keith Jackson. Keith, how's it going?
I'm all right, Daniel. I'm okay. End of a long week, and thoroughly looking forward to unmissable. And I know that we like to concentrate in Scottish football, and that's where our home is. But I tell you what, I'm looking forward to Liverpool v Spurs tonight.
I mean, that will be a cracker.
Why wouldn't you?
Aye. Before we get into actual football matters, we're also joined by Record Sports Scott Burns, our transfer guru. Burnsy, how's it going?
I'm a bit upset actually. Seeing you're not as thrilled as speaking to me as you are with Keith with that introduction. I'm good. How are you?
Thrilled to welcome Keith. Here he is, the man himself, Keith Jack, and we've also got Scott Burns.
Here's the sideshow. I don't like place, lads. It's all right.
If it's any consolation, Burnsy, that was thick sarcasm.
Certainly thick.
See, just on Spurs Liverpool, Keith, do you think Spurs have got any chance of getting through?
Depends. You look at the side that Liverpool put out, albeit that was Jurgen Klopp as manager in last year's final. It was like the under-17s, wasn't it?
Aye.
But they did go pretty full strength for the first leg at Spurs, so I expect Liverpool to go pretty strong again. But you do wonder about that, Matt. You do wonder in the terms of list of priorities. It's massive priority number 8, biggest game of the season for Spurs. Right. Liverpool have got bigger fish to fry this season, haven't they, in the Premier League and in the Champions League? So, and do you know what? I always win a trophy in my second season, mate. So I think it's fascinating, and it's brilliant actually that it's poised the way it is, 1-0 up Spurs from the first leg, because I think it could be a real hell for leather 90 minutes. I'm very much looking forward to it, Daniel.
Huge night for Ange. But as you say, Keith, we're a Scottish football show, so let's get stuck into that.
We're claiming a bit of tartan there, albeit Australian tartan, but there you are.
We've got Burnsy on for a very specific reason, Keith, don't we?
Oh, because we like him, because we rate him, because he's always got things to say. I mean, how many insults can you hurl? many insults you want to hurl at a guy? We're only a couple of minutes in, Daniel.
Listen, Burnsy, I would go just me and you if we can get rid of Keith, if we can do that.
I'll happily do that.
Don't give him the option. Don't give him the option.
No, but you, Burnsy, you're filing a piece for Record Sport, I believe, on Dundee United's scathing statement yesterday, referring to the key match instance panel and VAR. What more can you tell us about that?
I mean, it was obviously pretty strongly worded last night from Dundee United, who just feel they've had enough with the whole VAR affair. But I mean, I think part of the thing, you've seen part of the statement where they were unhappy with maybe the qualifications of some people certainly contributing to the KMI.
Suggesting, Burnsy, that these people aren't qualified to understand what the rule book actually looks like.
Pretty much, that's it in a nutshell. That's the bottom line. And in fairness, I think that the people that they're probably referring to are maybe fellow reporters like ourselves. Who I'm not certainly.
Listen, I'm not.
But
nothing to do with me.
There are, I mean, obviously, I'm told written reporters in it. There are broadcast reporters. There are broadcast commentators involved in it. These are the sort of people I would suggest that Dundee United would be saying are probably not qualified. Do you know what I mean?
That's fascinating, because we had Des Roach on last night, Burnsy, and we're discussing this exact, and it was that part of the statement you're looking at saying, they're clearly saying that the guys that are making these decisions and sitting in judgment of the referees aren't referees. And my kind of gut instinct was former players. I had no idea it was dimwits like us from the media that were getting involved in it.
Look, I'm happy to confirm now, guys. I am on the panel, and I think all my decisions have been great.
You could be right. Who am I to argue? No, look, I mean, as you say, Keith, there are club reps on it. There are ex-players. There are ex-managers. there's a wide variety of people selected for each one. I think there's 5 for each panel, but the media are certainly involved in it. You know what I mean? So, but how did they pick the media who are involved, etc. And you can understand why the clubs would be unhappy with members of the press ruling on some of the decisions.
Well, it depends which member of the press, really, doesn't it?
Well, but all jokes aside, Keith, if you Dundee United, you can see why they're cracking up. I mean, how do you, it seems really arbitrary. How do you pick these people? I mean,
I suspect that there was a bank of well, let's say just people then who were put forward for previous disciplinary committees. And I'm guessing, and I know there are some former players involved in there, but Burnsy's actually shocked me. I had no idea about guys from, broadcast and written press.
There are some professional people in there as well, lawyers, etc. Different.
Yeah. But they had this group of people who they would fish from for various disciplinary things. It is very possibly that they have used the same group of people again. But that one I find odd for the simple reason that you really need to have an in-depth knowledge of what the rule book looks like in order to sit in judgment on a referee's decision, because that's effectively what the job entails. Mm-hmm. I mean, I get using a former player if it's like a tackle and, I encourage that. I like former players to have a role in here, but what Burnsy's telling me is something completely different and quite unexpected, I have to say. And I could understand why, clubs might have issues with that.
I can understand why the KMI is there. I mean, it's obviously to...
Yeah, it's a good thing.
The comment is to look over the incidents and make sure, like, the SFA and referees, etc., are not marking their own homework. So I get the independent body. I'm just... But I take it back as well, like yourself, with some of the people who are on it, and I'm referring mainly to media types.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you what, I mean, see if it was me, right? Let's be cynical about it. What am I going to do if I was on that panel? What's the most controversial thing that you can do here? What could you do to get the ultimate story? That genuinely would play a part in it.
Is that what happens anyway?
What, when I sit on the panel?
No, just in general in Scottish football.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? That could be described as a vested interest. If I was sitting in that panel and thinking, I tell you what, see if I have a right pop at this decision, or I do something controversial, cracking back page, cracking story. That's a vested interest.
Yeah.
I find that there should be no vested interest in that room. Absolutely none. It's meant to be completely independent, neutral. I'll say it again. I'm surprised, and it's a great bit of work for Burnsy to uncover that.
I think it was you last night, Keith, used the phrase a kind of groundswell regarding other clubs. I mean, I think if other clubs are made aware of this,
well, they will be aware because they'll have representatives sitting on these same panels, so they will know. But it makes you understand why there is a level of dissatisfaction around the whole thing. And St Mirren have come out and had a go at VAR. Dundee United have come out and had a go at this review panel. It's starting to feel like the start of a pile-on. Mm-hmm. And I think you might find, as we were discussing last night, I'll be quite surprised if this is where it stops with just 2 clubs. I think there'll be more voices. And I think it could become a really, really heated debate.
Well, I mean, Marzuno there in the comment section, we're now third guessing referees. And when you put it like that, I mean, what are we doing? I mean, like, I just feel that football's fine before all this. I get it's good to have the KMI panel, maybe. Just leave it alone, guys.
Just follow the Norwegian lead.
Aye, perhaps.
They've binned it off, Burnsy, and Sweden never took it on in the first place. Burnsy, because I've put my cards on the table with this. I think we should be using technology if it's there, if it helps us get more decisions right. And I think there's no disputing it. We all have our complaints and grumbles and gripes about VAR and technology, more so probably the use of it and how certain individuals might be utilising it. Can we use it better? I think so. But surely, in essence, the whole theory of the thing is you've got technology, it should help referees to make the right decisions. And in 8 out of 10 cases, it probably still does, even though there are some outliers and anomalies. Are you not for it in principle, Burnsy, or are you sick of it?
I was for it in principle, but the way it's going now, I think it's a mess. I think we should maybe even mothball it and try and work on it to try and make it better. But as it stands, Willie Collins saying more sorries on a Monday and a Tuesday, and he issued red cards through his career. You know what I mean? There's that many blatant errors, and like how often, like every top flight manager's getting a sorry on a Monday. Well, that's all right, but it's maybe cost his team 3 points. That might make the big difference when it comes to European places, relegation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
if you take it away, Burnsy, right? If you stop it tomorrow, right? And I'm here to be won over with the argument. Stop it tomorrow. You're going to get injustices. You're going to get bad decisions. That's not going to change. You just won't have the technology there as a safety net to give you the best chance of making sure the decisions are correct.
But then clubs are not paying out 6-figure fees for the privilege.
Yeah.
I mean, the clubs are paying for it.
Yeah,
they're not getting value for money, and in fact, a lot of them feel shortchanged about it. So, do you just continue it as is, or do you mothball it and then try and improve it, or what do you do? Do you take it away?
That is the other thing. We have got this sort of Diddy version of VAR, haven't we? It's not quite the diet VAR.
I know, but it's got to be better than nothing. I genuinely think we can do it better. Do you know what my biggest fear of all is? That, you know, Burnsy's right when it comes down to the pounds and pence of the whole thing. Clubs are they're being charged for it. Where the clubs in this country make their revenue? Gate receipts. That's where the vast majority of the money comes in through the gate. And the ones that I think are getting the worst experience out of VAR are the fans who turn up at the grounds every weekend. You know, you can sit at home, watch it on TV, you've got a better idea if you're listening to radio. The broadcasters are getting some line into Clydesdale House, so they're better informed. But the actual guy, and this is something I'm uneasy with, the guy that's actually digging into his pocket, handing over his hard-earned, he's the one that's worst off. He's the one that's completely left in the dark.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem right to me. And that would be my worry. What Burnsy's saying there, the clubs are getting charged. How are they paying for it? Well, they're paying for it out the money that comes in from the guy that's, you know, handing it in out his back pocket to get through the turnstile. And he's the one that's getting the real raw end of the deal. You would have to worry, well, what if fans get so fed up that I can't be bothered going anymore? Because that hits everybody at that point. Is it that bad? Not for me, but I'm willing to hear the arguments, and you know, I listen to Burnsy. It seems that a lot of people are at that point that they would rather do without. I don't think that would be the right thing to do, but I hear the argument.
I mean, I know that social media is a bit of an echo chamber, but a lot of the social media want rid of it. Don't think it's working at all. And there's even the 2 clubs, St Mirren have come out, Dundee United. Dave Cormack at the AGM 2 years ago said if he could win it, he would. There's a lot of people in Scottish football just don't think he's working.
Yeah.
And
I just think, Burnsy, now that you've had official club statements from St Mirren, Dundee United yesterday, I think, you know, somebody like Dave Cormack might now feel more inclined, more empowered to make that his club's official position. And I think if you get to a point, we were discussing last night, if you get to a point where you get 5 or 6 top flight clubs all stating an official position, which is, you know, immense dissatisfaction with the system, how it is, I think that brings the whole thing to a boiling point. I think at that point, the authorities need to address it. And that's what I'm interested to see, because I get the feeling we might not be too far away from that.
I don't think we are at all. I don't think we are.
I think Burnsy, you had it the nail on the head when you said it's how it's been used at the minute. I mean, see, just now, it just makes it harder, I think, for referees. You know, you slow these instances down. makes it more difficult, puts another spin on it, and it's not really in the spirit of the game, constantly looking, for ways to chop off goals. I don't know, it just doesn't, the way we're doing it now just feels really wrong.
Do you know what I'm struggling with? I mean, you're meant to be the young gun in this conversation, and you're the one that's railing against it. And you've got old dinosaurs like me saying, no, this is the future, this is what needs to happen, it needs to be modernised, we need to bring technology in. I do believe that is what needs to happen, but I also look at it and think we are in danger, and we were always going to be in danger of making a bit of a mess of it. When the new shiny toys come out the box, chances are that we'd probably break them. But that's a very sort of half glass full view of Scottish football. And I widen it out, and I say it again, these same problems, and with better systems, more expensive systems, that the Premier League's got the best one that money can buy, they're having the same arguments, they're having the same discussions. There are people down there saying that they should bin VAR. So, yes, we like to be hard on our guys and give everybody a kicking. But, these problems are not unique to Scottish football. That's entirely true.
Yeah.
Do we hear the noises in the Scottish Championship, Leagues 1 and League 2, about decisions? No, because there's no VAR there, is there? You don't see the same, you know what I mean? I don't think it'd be a massive issue if it was to be put aside and worked on for the benefit of the game.
But again, so what we're going to do to work on it, and this is the other thing that you have to remember, it doesn't matter how hard you work on it or what what great theories you put into it, and you might even put dossiers together and send them out to all the refs and the VARs. But at the end of the day, Burnsy, a lot of the big calls, the most controversial moments, will come down to somebody's decision, to subjectivity, and you can't remove that.
But why not just stick with it then, Keith? Why bring on all these angles? If it's going to come down to the guy's decision, just leave it as. I know, I get.
Because see if you haven't seen it properly, and you get the chance to look at it from 4 or 5 different angles.
Aye, that's true.
And you see that I thought I saw something, but now that I can see that, nah, I wouldn't. I would hate to be a referee to walk off a pitch, having given a penalty in a big game, a cup final, whatever, and then come off the pitch and then look and oh my God.
Aye, that's
dropped
true.
an absolute racket.
That's a fair point.
I'd rather have that technology there to the safety net to have a look.
Aye.
Mind you, if I'm Nick Walsh, I just look at it and say, penalty kick, right enough.
but you've got that technology just now, and they're still making a racket of it and being backed up by the VAR officials on occasion.
Yes, Burnsy, but would you not have to agree that percentage-wise, we're getting more right than we were with VAR? VAR is helping to get more of the key decisions correct. It's
getting more correct, but not enough, in my opinion, and certainly not for the value.
But sure. I hear you, but I just think surely, even if it's just one big decision in one crucial game over the course of a season, if VAR intervenes and gets that decision right when some atrocious mistake was about to be made, I think that's got value. I think it'd be a real retrograde step now to move back the way and say, nah, but this is not for us. We can't have nice things.
Some of the comments coming in, Blue News John, we need more cameras in every stadium, as sometimes the referee is not showing the crucial angle.
That's
part of the flaw with us having a cheaper system.
Yeah. With some of the still shots, look, lost, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Mark Fairfield's, can we not just be honest and say it's not worked in Bennett? And Rebel pointing out England is the top of the range VAR and has more problems than us.
I feel that I might be fighting a losing battle in this one.
Well, look, it's a fantastic story from you, Burnsy, but you are first and foremost a transfer guru. I know the transfer window is closed now. I mean, is it like Santa? Like, do you go and hibernate for a few months, or?
That's him slapping another label on you, Burnsy. What is your problem tonight, Dan?
I mean it with the utmost respect.
I was waiting to say, Daniel, you clearly don't know my bosses. If you think I will get to hibernate for the next few months.
That's a very good point.
Burnsy comes out and we use him twice a season.
The second time I'm claiming overtime, by the way.
No, but I thought we would pick your brains on the end of the transfer window. Obviously, it was a little bit quiet in the end, but there was a little bit of noise today around Hibs, Rocky Bashiri.
Rocky Bashiri, and there was a bit of noise on deadline day and the day before. A Belgian side made a couple of bids over the 2 days, which was turned down. And now the Egyptian side, Zamalek, have come in and made an offer for Rocky Bashiri, which has also been turned down. So Rocky Bashiri is out of contract at the end of the season. And my understanding is that as it stands, he won't be going anywhere, and he'll be running that contract down till the summer, and then he'll make a decision on his future. But it's been some turnaround for Rocky Bashiri, considering when David Gray came in and he was struggling, he wasn't getting a game. You know what I mean? Wasn't involved. He brought Bashiri back in, and I know he's made a couple of mistakes here and there, but he's been a big player for them in the run, the Hibs' recent revival. He's been a big player, and I think you've seen just with the number of clubs that have come in from the interest. I mean, he's got everything, the physique and everything, the power and everything to be a top defender. You can see why clubs are attracted to him. So, but Rocky Bashiri will be remaining at Easter Road until the end of May.
Was there anything, Bunzi, in the final hours on Monday night that didn't get done that remains sort of a live issue heading towards the next window? Is there anything that people were looking to get across the line that didn't manage but are likely to return to?
Well, Rangers we're looking at wingers. There was one that they were interested in, that a player who's out of contract in the summer. I'm not giving away any names just now, but I think that one could be addressed. I mean, the problem was that he'd obviously 4 months left in his contract. This club were looking for a set fee, which I think Rangers thought was maybe too high at that point. So it's obviously a player that they could pick up for free in the summer. So I wouldn't be surprised if that one is revisited.
Is that a Scottish club, Bunzi? That player?
Just a player.
That's brilliant.
Wouldn't show your bird's nest, this guy.
Blue Nose John there saying, has Ryan Kent found a new club yet, Scott? I'm bringing it up just because did you guys see the headlines the other day that he's been linked to a club in Iran because he can keep his pet crocodiles there legally? Which, I'm not sure.
I thought it was snakes. I thought he was into snakes.
I thought it was crocodiles. But he's not.
Where would you keep a crocodile?
In your paddling pool.
I don't think you've thought this one through.
Listen,
he's into snakes.
Keep him in Dundee. Crocodile Dundee. That's it. There you go.
Aye, that's true. What were we talking about? The transfer window?
Ryan Kent.
Ryan Kent. Aye, he's not actually got a new club yet, has he?
No. He was. He had the Blackburn certainly pushed hard to get him, but the wages that obviously Ryan Kent has been used to at Liverpool, Rangers, and out in Turkey, there's a bit of a gulf between what he was offered in the Championship. So I think he'll probably take his chances in the next few weeks and see what comes out. But I presume it'll be guided by pounds rather than the prizes on the pitch, I would think, with Ryan Kent.
Budgie, I heard a wee suggestion that Shamrock Rovers, because the Irish transfer market remains open for the time being, I think it's got a couple of weeks still to run, and that Shamrock Rovers have not given up the notion of trying to get Johnny Kenny back from Celtic.
No, you're spot on there. It was actually, I know it's a couple of agents and different people in Ireland, and Shamrock Rovers, well, some people around Shamrock Rovers were trying to put out the narrative that Johnny Kenny couldn't go anywhere else because he played for Celtic and Shamrock Rovers, so he couldn't go anywhere else. But because Ireland was a summer season, he could have moved to another club in the January window. And as I said to you, there were some Scottish Premier League clubs who were interested. I know that Kilmarnock and St Mirren were both keen at one point on him, but Celtic wouldn't let him out because
surely Celtic won't sanction it without.
They were short of strikers for the Champions League or whatever. But I don't think they could let him go, especially when Daniel Cummings probably not going to be involved. Maeda's playing through the middle. I'm not sure they'll let him go, but then again, I think the the Celtic majority shareholders got strong links with Shamrock Rovers as well, hasn't he? So could that have an influence? Who knows?
Interesting point. Just going back to the Ryan Kent one, Gianni, friend of the show, he says, as Keith told me, never get back with your ex. It's a fair point. Fair point, Gianni. Need to say that.
Depends what sex you're talking about.
It's all about context. Burnsy, it's been an absolute pleasure, as always, having you on the Hotline Live. Hope to have you back again soon if you're not been too offended tonight. That'd be great.
Oh yeah, all the best, lads.
Cheers, Burnsy.
Burnsy, I apologise for him again. Sorry.
All right.
I'll call you later, Burnsy. Bye.
Right, all the best, lads.
Scott Burns there. We mentioned Celtic, Keith.
Wow.
We mentioned. I'm trying to move on as quick as I can. Listen, sometimes my banter is of such a high level. Kind of
that was no banter. That was brutality.
Kind of goes over everyone's head.
The nasty wee bit of work sometimes.
Wow. Listen, we mentioned Celtic there at the end. Celtic were playing last night after our show. Record Sports' Fraser Wilson was in attendance, and we caught up with him earlier on today just to see what he thought of the game. And here's what he had to say. We're joined on the Hotline Live by the one and only Fraser Wilson. Fraser, you were at Celtic Park last night. You experienced the goal glut firsthand. How was it?
It's all very positive, wasn't it? I think it was getting back to kind of the levels of November when Celtic blew away Aberdeen in the semi-final, then turned it up even more against Leipzig, beat Hearts, Kilmarnock, Ross County were blown away in November. I think it was getting back to those levels, certainly in the second half anyway. Honestly, really feared for Dundee the longer, even when 4 minutes injury time went up, you thought, could be 7 or 8 coming here. It just, honestly, there just seems to be goals coming from everywhere in this Celtic team right now, which is pleasing given the amount that's been said and written about the lack of a second striker coming in after Kyogo's departure. It really,
yeah. I was going to say, I'm sure the place would have been jumping as the second half went on and the goals are flying in. How was it at the start? Because that was what I was interested to gauge. What was the reaction? What was the sort of atmosphere around the place, given the unhappiness surrounding the transfer window?
Well, mind we touched on this last night before the game, didn't we? I was fully expecting the Green Brigade to make some sort of comment about the lack of wins in January, just like they did a year ago when they got the bed sheets out at Pataudry. On your head, be it. They warned the board this time last year. I don't know whether it was because the music seemed to be blaring out louder than ever pre-match, but there was no sort of signs of dissent. There was certainly no banners. Getting themselves ahead early on in the game as well kind of helped. It was all very cheery. It was all very much a oneness, a togetherness. No sign of dissent whatsoever. Not one thing. So it was a very happy Parkhead last night. And obviously the way the second half went, a complete feeling of togetherness, almost like this green machine is really starting to click into top gear. I mean, we mentioned last night that could all come crashing back down if something happened to Adam Ida, who's crucial to the way this forward line's working right now. And, you know, it occupies defenders and allows these wide guys to work their magic. And boy, they're only half working their magic. That's 18 goals now for Daizen Maeda, 17 for Nicholas Kuhn. Top of that, you got Jota coming in with his bag of tricks last night. I think that was another thing, actually, that sort of deflected from the mild discontent over the lack of a new striker. The fact Jota was making his homecoming and right through the off was just pulling out all his bag of tricks, you know, step overs, track backs. He did one thing that I don't even know how to describe. I've not got the words for it. It was a sort of turn back heel, corkscrewed Josh Mulligan, I think it was, into the ground all in one quick movement. I wouldn't even know how to describe it, but it was incredible. Came up with a couple of assists as well, and you know, it was just a really good night for Celtic, as much as a bad night it was for Dundee.
Got to say, Fraser, there are certain moments when Celtic click that they're pretty much irresistible. I thought the fourth goal is probably as good a goal as I've seen all season.
Yeah. I just thought it was sensational. Well,
it's not just that. I mean, it starts away back almost Jota in the left back position.
Yeah.
And Celtic pass it out from the back. I think there must have been maybe 7 or 8 passes before Engels plays the ball through for Maeda, who, and Maeda is a guy that I'm going to come back to this a year ago. That's probably landing in the North Curve. And last night, it just chips it, just the delicate little ding. I think his kind of final touches and his numbers, his stats, everything about him in that final third, I think has come on leaps and bounds. And I have to attribute that to Brendan Rodgers. We've seen it previously, Fraser, that he makes players better. And I think Maeda has been a real beneficiary of that.
I wanted to throw in there, guys, that Dyson Larson was trending on X last night amongst Celtic fans in Glasgow. And I throw this at both of you. I know Ida has been brilliant the last few weeks.
Can we talk about that fourth goal? Is anybody going to tell me that they've seen a better one?
It was stunning. Do you know what? The third goal was good. The way Jota produced a couple of step overs and then that beautiful clipped cross in. And he said after the game, because he's played with Maeda before, obviously, he knows the runs that Maeda makes. He knew exactly where to put it. I thought that was good. Was it 5 minutes later? As you said, without doubt, the goal of the game. Jota wins it, performs some more fancy footwork in the left-hand corner. I think he feeds it to Callum McGregor, Rio Hatate, onto Engels, and the pass was sublime. Perfectly weighted for Maeda to run onto, but the first-time finish was just a touch of class. A guy that really is playing at the top of his confidence. As much as you say Brendan Rodgers has improved him, and he has, it was also the sign of a guy that just has utter belief in what he's doing right now, Dazen Maeda.
Do you know that goal? That goal gave me a flashback to a goal that Celtic scored in Europe. I think it was Champions League. And because Jota found himself starting to move from a very similar position, do you remember he's hit a pass? It's like a 50 yards diagonal over the top, and I think Kyogo goes on. It was that was an incredible moment.
Ferencváros, I think.
So that reminded me of that last night. And so if Celtic are finding that sort of form at this point in the season, well, I think it's ominous for everybody. Everybody except Bayern Munich, probably.
Yeah. Well, see on the Bayern game, I know he's been brilliant recently. I think Brendan Rodgers might be tempted to go with Maeda through the middle. Maeda, Jota on the left if he's fully fit, Kuhn on the right.
He's not really got a lot of other options, has he? Well, he has got other options, but I think that's a pretty obvious one. So I agree with you. I mean, what else can you do? Throw in Kenny or Cummings at centre forward and stick with Maeda and Kuhn. Jota and Kuhn through the middle. Sorry, what did you suggest there? Sorry.
Taking Ida out and put Maeda through the middle.
Maeda suspended for the first leg.
Suspended, we need to start that again. Aye.
Thank God this is Well, just generally though, do you think that could be something that for big games Rodgers could be tempted by?
That's the option that he's got. It's either Ida or Maeda through the middle, and it's not a bad choice to have. So as much as Celtic will feel they're a little bit lighter for this second half of the campaign following the transfer window, it's still not bad because I think either two of them, you could happily play them through the middle as a central striker, and they're going to give defenders different sort of headaches, but big ones.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about Celtic, Fraser, but just on Dundee, 12 goals conceded this week, none scored. Not been a great week.
Very worrying. It was a complete. It was just the carbon copy of the weekend when they were 2-0 down to Hearts at half time and completely collapsed at half time. Now, I didn't see the Hearts game, but speaking to some of the Dundee boys that cover them, they said it was just a total replay of what happened against Hearts. Celtic in that form is when they went through the gears in the second half. It was hard not to feel sorry for the likes of Josh Mulligan and Aaron Donnelly that were having to deal with the wide guys. Always wonder why do you constantly allow guys like Nicholas Kuhn, Jota, Dazen Maeda to cut inside when you know what they're going to do when they've got that end product, but then when you watch the goals back, it's because they've got guys going on the outside, so they could go either way. You literally do not know where they're going to go. It's almost impossible to deal with them at that level.
Stopping them's a lot easier said than done, isn't it?
Do you know what? It's far too easy just to say that. It's in that form, no defence in Scotland can stop them, I don't think. So depends depending what kind of team they put out against Wraith, you'd worry for Wraith a wee bit on Saturday. But no, back to Dundee. They have got to come up with a big result against Airdrie in the Scottish Cup on Saturday. Speaking to Finn Robertson after the game, he is a diehard Dundee fan, so he was hurting as much as anybody, probably more than anybody in that away dressing room the other night. It completely ruined the fact they just signed a new 2-year deal the day before. Felt for him a wee bit. You could really see he was hurting. But 2 back-to-back 6-0 defeats, it's almost unheard of for Dundee domestically. It's just a real bad one. And I've got no doubt Tony Docherty will steady the ship. A right good, experienced manager. He does have good players there. I think they just need to bin that week, forget about it, bounce back with a strong result against Airdrie on Saturday, which I'm sure they will do.
Fraser, it's always a pleasure having you in the Hotline Live. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, bother. Thanks, lads.
Oh, bet you were hoping that that was cut out. Your little faux pas there.
I think...
Hello?
There's another faux pas for you.
Dearie me, what's going on with you? You're having a night. See, this is what happens. People take too much time off their work and then mistakes happen all over the place. You've got Maida playing centre forward against Bayern Munich, right? That's a nightmare. You've insulted Scott Burns to the point that I don't know if I'll be able to coax him to come back onto the thing. And now you're just vanishing and leaving me sitting here like a turkey.
Listen.
You need to raise your game. You need to raise your game.
Well, look, let me try and redeem myself with a few comments. Paul Lynch, in interest of fairness, says...
Let me try and redeem myself by reading what other people have said.
Exactly. The panel need to calm down a bit. Hearts put 6 past Dundee at the weekend, talking about Celtic like they're world beaters. But this is what I wanted to really throw at you, Keith. Let me have a look. Rebel says, Dyson has been brilliant. Player of the year. And that was a theme that was, again, trending on X last night. Everyone kind of arguing over who should be player of the year. I mean, Nicholas Kuhn's got 17 goals, 12 assists. Maeda, 18 goals, 8 assists. Even Arne Engels, 9 goals and 10 assists. I mean, who would you have at the front of the queue for this season's player of the year?
Well, I see where you're going. It's very difficult to make an argument for anybody. I mean, I don't know if you're going Celtic's player of the year, Scotland's player of the year, and I'm being facetious because it's very difficult to make an argument for anybody outside Celtic, given that they're sitting 1 trophy in the bag already, 13 points clear with 13 games to go in the league, completely dominant. Just for argument's sake, I think that Eagleman will feature in the debate. Nico Raskin will feature in the debate.
This is going to sound bold, right? And I'm being a bit mischievous. But see if Dessers finishes with 25 goals.
Cyril Dessers isn't even going to win Player of the Year for strikers named Cyril Dessers. So we can leave that out of the argument. But yes, it's very difficult to see it, and nor should it really go anywhere but Celtic, because they have been the best team. They're miles out in front of everybody else. So but the problem that the Celtic will have, and this is what happens, is that especially with the players' vote, there'll be guys in the dressing room that are going to vote. You know, I've decided that it'll be a Celtic player, but that Celtic vote is then split into different chunks because there are 3 or 4 in that the Celtic setup right now that would be outstanding candidates. So their share of the vote will be split accordingly. Whereas somebody like Eagleman at Rangers, if you've got a constituency of Rangers supporters inside dressing rooms, they're very likely that they'll all vote for either Eagleman, Raskin.
Yeah.
Whereas Celtic, the Celtic side kind of will get split up a little bit more. But if you're asking just in terms of who deserves it, I'm a great one for Cal McGregor, because there's a reason that Celtic are so consistent. It's because their captain is so consistent and because he's a leader. And you take him out of the team, Celtic aren't the same team without him. So yeah, I get it that he's maybe not the kind of flashy headline grabbing performer week in, week out. But then you've got to take into account the amount of goals he scored at the start of the season.
Yeah.
When he really, when maybe Celtic weren't clicking just as well as Brendan Rodgers might have hoped, it was McGregor that was leading from the front. He was, they were screaming them in from 30 yards into the roof of the net all over the shop. I will always mount an argument for Cal McGregor just because I think he's a master of his art in the middle of the park. And that all said, if I was going to vote just now, I guess I would probably say Nicholas Kuhn, just because in terms of the numbers, the way that he's gone about it, he's been so impressive. He's come on leaps and bounds from the player that arrived at Celtic 18 months previously, or just over a year ago. I think he's probably been the most impressive. Maeda, of course, and I keep coming back to Cal McGregor, but if you're asking me to take my pick, it would be Nicholas Kuhn. But I do think that in terms of the overall, and then you've got Big Dalby at Dundee United. I'm sure he'll feature, and he should do for his goal-scoring exploits. He should come into the mix. But I do think Eagleman and Raskin have made big contributions, and Hadji. Although you would say that Hadji had to spend the first I don't know how many months of the season playing for Rangers B team, didn't he? Through no fault of his own, it must be mentioned.
Aye. I mean, a lot of love for Maeda in the comment section. McGregor is our most important player, but Dyson can't be replaced for what he offers the club. John here saying Dyson is an invaluable member for Celtic. He's just as well as contracted till 2027. Time to extend his contract again. And Marzuno chiming in again says even Cameron Carter-Vickers walking it.
And you could make an argument for Kasper Schmeichel.
Aye, you could, aye.
But I think what you would have to say is, and this is where it's a shame for the kind of the goalkeepers and the centre halves, is that you look at this Celtic side, you don't say, oh, fantastic defensively. Your Celtic are all about what they're producing going forward in the final third, and that's where the headlines are grabbed. That's where the man of the match awards more often than not are handed out. And you would imagine it'll be middle to front where when the individual awards are selected and voted for, I would imagine it'll be Maeda, Kuhns, and just my own personal preference, and the whole thing will always be Cal McGregor in terms of what he does. I love a good central midfield player. That's why I said Raskin at Rangers. I love a guy that just runs, dictates stuff for the middle of the pitch. I know the strikers, goal scorers, and all that. They get more than their fair share. I love watching a guy that knows how to run a midfield. And I think, we've seen McGregor's been doing it for years. I think Raskin's made a real big impact at Rangers this season, doing a similar job.
Aye. I guess time will tell. Plenty of the season to go. If you want to hit us with your own suggestions for this season's Player of the Year, please do so.
We've gone early there, haven't we, by the way?
I know, it's just because it was trending last night. I thought it would be an interesting little talking point. So hit us in the comment section with your own thoughts. Is there anything else we should touch on, Keith, before we...
Well, we've got a big weekend of Scottish Cup action to come, haven't we? When we're going to find out the 8 quarter-finalists for this year's competition. Any surprises, banana skins, shocks, Daniel, that you fancy?
I don't know about banana skins, but we said this in the last round. Aberdeen, they need anything they can get, anything approaching, well, a win, obviously. They just need something to revitalise, kickstart their season. It's such a bizarre campaign for them.
I think there's 2 Premier League clubs, maybe 3, maybe Aberdeen fall into that category. You'd like to think that they should have enough about them, but the way the results have been going, who knows? Dunfermline are a decent side. So maybe 3 Premier League clubs at risk. St Johnstone at home to Hamilton. I know St Johnstone are starting to pick up a little bit, but they don't convince me. And I'm telling you now, I'm not sure that Hibs are going to fancy this trip to Somerset Park Friday night.
That's going to be an absolute cracker, that.
I really think that is going to be a cracker. I think there could be a lot of drama in that game.
I'd stick my neck out and say I think you'll win that.
Well, that's a big shout.
What do you think?
I think there's the potential is there. Ayr are flying. Scott Brown seems to be, his personality seems to be stamped over this team. And it's almost as if he's quite an infectious character. And obviously, what he's achieved in the game, the players that are in there, they obviously look up to him and Stephen Whittaker because they can see the level of expertise here. But there's almost as if that competitive edge, that competitive streak that marked him out as a kind of special player over all the years, I think that's rubbing off on Ayr United. And that's why, see if you're going to go into a fight with somebody, I don't think you want to go into a fight with that Ayr United side.
Yeah.
And, it'd be difficult. I think it'd be a difficult tie, even if it was at Easter Road. The fact that it's down at Somerset Park, I really think that is the one to watch. St Johnstone Hamilton, I'm not sure that'll be a great game, but it could go either way. But just in terms of the potential for fireworks and drama and a game that I think's the must-watch tie of this round, I think it's coming tomorrow night.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And we will be back on Sunday to pour over all.
When are we back on Sunday? What time?
I mean, the game on Sunday kicks off at 3:30, so I think 6 o'clock as usual.
6 o'clock on Sunday. It's a date.
It's a date. We'll be back to talk over all of the weekend Scottish Cup games. We hope you can join us then. Keith, thank you so much. And for everyone watching, I can only apologise for my performance tonight.
Yeah,
I'll put it down to having a bad back because I'm always having to carry Keith. But look, that's another discussion. Thanks very much for watching.
Good night.
Good night.